right here. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Precious McCoy, and I am the founder and executive director of the Shield Mentor Program. I am so excited because we are launching this initiative today, and I have with me two dynamic guest speakers. I could not have done this with a better group of fine women in the community doing this every day. Today's topic will be on growth mindset. So as we think about intentional parenting, we want to equip you with everything that you need to be empowered, motivated, uplifted right now during a time when we know that it's so hard during the pandemic to keep your energy where it needs to be. So as parents, we want to really get you up and going. And I have Tavis Taylor with me and Tikisha Michelle with me. I'm so happy to introduce them and tell you a little bit about each of them. Tavis is the founder of Tailored Connections Staffing and Training Center, Behind the Walls Ministries, Mothers of Brown Boys, Mobs, I Am Resilient Movement, and Tavis Taylor Talks. Through these ventures, she has seen lives resurrected. She has also helped numerous women come to Christ, which is really incredible work. Fostering discussion on taboo topics, she has helped people unmask the limitations that are keeping them from thriving. Her mission is to liberate people from the financial, emotional, or mental walls that they have created for themselves. So thank you for joining us today, Tavis. We have Tikisha Michelle. She has spent over 26 years in education. She is the founder and executive director of Education Inside Out, EIO, based in Wilmington, North Carolina. She helps kids succeed by helping parents navigate through the school system and helping them take control at home. So I want to thank you both for joining me today. I'm super excited. And without further ado, I want to turn this over to these two women to take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Precious. And I cannot be more honored than to be co-partnering with Tikisha Michelle, because she has a real 26 years of educational experience, and I salute her for that, especially, in our school systems. So my hat goes off to you. It really, really does. Without further ado, we're going to talk about intentional parenting, the growth mindset. And I love talking about parenting because I am the mother of two amazing sons. And so I have a 22-year-old, right? Can y'all imagine that? A 22-year-old. I don't think I have access to the slides. I think you have to move the slides. So I have a 22-year-old and an 11-year-old. And I'll be honest with you about that. And the reason why this is so important is because my 22-year-old grew up in a different era than my 11-year-old. My 22-year-old is a ex-football job. He's in the music industry. And he's an entrepreneur. My 11-year-old is a soccer kid. He's a math whiz, and he's in a private school. And so when we talk about growth mindset, it's very vital that we understand the importance of it, where it comes from, where it stems from, and so on and so forth. The concept of growth mindset was developed by a psychologist, and her name was Carol Dweck. And she wrote this book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And so in the recent years, we have seen this be integrated into our school systems. And it's so vital. I know you're saying, so what is growth mindset? And we're going to get right down to the nitty gritty of it. Growth mindset is a mindset when students understand that their abilities can be developed. So you have growth mindset and fixed mindset. Growth mindset is saying, hey, if I give this a shot, I can really, really do that. Now, it's very vital that we as parents understand the difference between the two, because if we get that, we won't feel as hopeless. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes as a parent, I felt like, oh my gosh, am I getting this right? Am I doing this right? And in studying the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, it helped me to understand that I had more power and more control than I thought I did as a parent when it comes to helping my children learn and develop. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only parent that have felt that way. Now, when we talk about fixed mindset, we are really talking about those traits and those characteristics. And people with this mindset believe that things are totally fixed and that they cannot be changed. So on the one hand, you have growth mindset where things can change and things can be different. And on the other hand, you have fixed mindset where these people believe that talent alone creates success without effort. So you have those people who, I was born for this, I can do this, I can do it in my sleep. You know, I don't have to do anything to develop this. And that causes sometimes it can cause contention, especially in the classroom, especially when you are parenting, because I know you've seen where you have one child that's smarter than the other child, one child that's more athletic than the other child. And as parents, we have to make sure that we are not just feeding the fixed mindset and feel so hopeless that we don't understand about the growth mindset. I'll give a quick example. There was a parent that I know, and her boys were in football. And I don't know about if you understand having a very super talented child in one area and one that's not as talented. And so the lights were shining bright for one son, but they were not shining as bright as the other son. And so the wisdom that I gave her from a parenting perspective, and I'll go to the next slide, was you have to make sure that you're developing your children at their rate of growth and the skills that they have. And so that's when fixed mindset and understanding growth mindset is very important. I won't go down this particular list because I want to get to the next slide and then allow Tikisha to come in and just do the intentional parenting piece for it. I just want you to understand the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And so when we talk about them, you have the fixed mindset says, you know, this is something you were born with, it's fixed, it can't be changed. When you have a growth mindset, it says, if I work hard enough, I can do this. If I work hard enough, I can, this can work for me. Let's take math. My 22-year-old had a fixed mindset with math. I can't do it. This is not the thing for me. And I had to develop that with a growth mindset. I had to say, hey, let me get you a tutor. Let's figure out ways that we can make this work for you because you have to pass this class. These tools are very vital because our children one day will leave home and we want to make sure that they are capable and able to function in the real world. Let's take challenges, for example. People with a fixed mindset, they like to keep things as they are. They do not want to, they avoid stuff. They tend to give up easily. But if you have a growth mindset, when challenges come, you embrace them. You figure out a way and an opportunity to grow in that, and you're persistent. I tell my 11-year-old, no, figure it out. You can figure that out. And sometimes it's something as simple as not being able to do something simple that I perceive as simple, but I leave it to him to figure it out, because if we don't, they're going to grow up and we're still going to be handicapping them in ways that, honestly, if we teach them the growth mindset and that if they work hard enough at something, then they can do it. And it's very vital that we do that. In this next slide, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of some statements so that you can really hone in on what does growth mindset really look like. What can I say to myself? So instead of saying, I'm not good at this, you can say, well, what am I missing? You can help your child figure that out. Instead of, I'm not good at math, then what am I missing? Do I need to send my child to tutoring for math? Do I need to send my child to a basketball training so that he can be better at that? Um, Instead of saying, because what with the growth mindset, what we're trying to teach our kids is we're not trying to over sensationalize what they're good at or what they're not good at. And we're trying to teach them how to create that balance. And so sometimes it's as simple as, instead of saying, I'm awesome at this, say, I'm on the right track. And if you notice with this, your language with growth mindset is so vital. It is so vital. Look at number 9 here when it says, oh, that's good enough. It's good enough. No, is it really your best work? Did you really do the best that you could? So the growth mindset really challenges you not to be lazy as a parent, and challenges your child not to settle for complacency. And we're not trying to make them overachievers. We are just trying to make sure that with the growth mindset, that we are developing them not just for now, but also for the future. um I am just I'm excited about that. I was trying to read the comments. I want us now to look really quickly at a really quick video where they just give you a couple of examples of the mindsets in action, and then we're going to turn it over to Tikisha, and she's going to bring it on home for us. Okay. Okay, it seems that the video, you cannot hear the video, but I'll leave a link to the video so that you can go back and watch it. But this video is simply just two different mindsets in action with some people that your children can relate to, like the Simpsons, Michael Jordan, and so forth and so on. And so when we think about growth mindset, one of the things that I want us all to understand is, number one, there were studies done with teachers and the growth mindset, and what they found was the teachers who adopted the growth mindset themselves were more effective than the teachers who do not. The parents who adopt the growth mindset themselves will be more effective at um, implementing the growth mindset. Can you embrace it yourself? Can you use good examples and analogies for your children? What I love about it is we have to give our children grace with the growth mindset. But what I also I really, really like about this concept is it makes us as parents, as if the pandemic didn't do it, it makes us as parents have to be more interactive with our children. And having said that, as you are training your children and teaching your children how to develop a growth mindset, I will tell you, in me doing this with mine, I have developed more of a growth mindset. So it's like you grow together. And I'm super excited about us developing the growth mindset in our children, because number one, it means that there is something good and something great that we can help all of our children develop in, especially when we have more than one child and one excels more than the other. Thank you all so much for this time. I'm going to turn it over to Tikisha.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Tavis, that was I don't even know if the people can see me, but I'm just, yes, yes, yes. That was so good. That is what I am talking about. Whew. Okay, I'm going to calm down just a little bit so that I can introduce myself for just a moment. I am Tikisha Michelle. Oh, sorry, I'm doing too much. I am Tikisha Michelle of Education Inside Out. And I too have a 22-year-old. Is that not crazy? But I also have a 30-year-old. Me to get to where I am now, in conjunction with so many other examples in my life, teaching school and working with this. And I don't even know what I want to tell y'all some more about me, but I can't even hardly do it because I'm so excited about what Tavis was sharing. That's the stuff that I try to tell, or not just try, but I express to parents, I express to families, I tell other teachers. I don't always use the same terminology. However, I am definitely using the same instructions, the same examples. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Thank you, Tavis. I need to just carry you around with me, have you sit with me when I consult with families and stuff. Man, that stuff was so good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So she talked about the mindset. And when you have this mindset, let me see, make sure I can make this thing happen. When you have a mindset and it's set, you have or at least you should have some commitments. So I'm going to try and just piggyback off of what Tavis was talking about and go from there. I really am not sure. I hope that this is all working together. Somebody will let me know. So what are you committed to? That's my question. What are you committed to? So, I know we talk about the political process, but we really aren't supposed to talk about it so much. But I have a now what question. So I'm not sure if you heard, you should have heard. You probably got phone calls and text messages. But the voting, everything that happened was talking about let's vote, right? No matter what happened, all they wanted you to do was vote. So then what? You voted. So are you finished participating in the political process? I ask. But not really. You shouldn't be, because that's the beginning of what is expected of an individual in the process. It is not the end. So stay with me. The process, the expectations of an individual. Okay. So if you just keep flowing with me, you're going to see where I'm going with this. Okay. So I call this the cycle continues. So there were 3,986,076 children born in 2014, right? So that means that there are 7,976,152 parents who became responsible for those children, right? Those children are now 5 and 6 years old. So look there at the bottom there. Of those parents, 1.7 million children who were born in 2017 had a parent who became incarcerated. Man, think about those children. What was the mindset of those parents? What is the mindset of the children? What is that going to be like as we move forward? Know this, that those parents of those children, so many of them before, they were responsible for changing diapers and feeding. However, when those children got to kindergarten or preschool, whichever one it was, they became more responsible for more than just the diapers and the feedings. Now they got to establish relationships with teachers and school staff. And now these people are giving them instructions and have expectations of these parents. These are people who are not in their house. These parents now have to figure out how to establish these relationships. They have to figure out, how do I decide to be committed to this child that I helped create, that I gave life to? So now what? Again, I ask, now what? So your kids have food, they have clothes, They have these shoes, but are you committed to more than their clothes, their shoes, and the food that you purchase for them? Are you committed to being active at school so that that growth mindset can continue, not just for you, but for your child? Not just for your child, but for you. Are you committed to being engaged in assignments? Come on now. Engaged in assignments. Investigating friendships. Mom, dad, auntie, cousin, grandma. Got to check out the friends. You got to check out the friends. You've got to be intentional about this parenting. It's got to be more than feeding them and changing them. It's got to be more than just clothing them and giving them shoes. You got to check on those friends. So you got schoolwork, you have friendships. What about relationships with your children? It's not their job to simply be your child, to have life, to be present in your home that you are responsible for. Those are your responsibilities, right? So make sure you fulfill those responsibilities, but it's also very, very important that you build those relationships with your children. Does that mean be their friend? Think about that. Does that mean be their friend? Tavis, I'm almost positive you are not your children's friend. I'm going to guess that you have a positive relationship with them, but I'm going to go with you are not their friend. But you also have to make sure that you have established a consistency in your child's life. Ooh, what do you mean, Tikisha? What do you mean a consistency in their life? You got to be intentional. You have got to be intentional. Build the relationships, establish consistency. That's going to help you identify and establish that commitment, not just for them, but for you as well. It'll carry over into your life. So that was all the good stuff. Now I'm wondering, maybe you're committed to working just a lot of hours so that your children can wear certain shoes and certain clothes, or so that you can wear certain shoes and certain clothes. Maybe so that you all can have that big TV or that new phone or whatever the latest device is. Is that what you're committed to? Are you committed to keeping up with the Joneses or the Smiths or the Jacksons or whoever it is that's influencing you, instead of encouraging the best possible outcome for your children? Intentional parenting, all. Intentional parenting. The best possible outcome for your children. What are you committed to? Is commitment contagious? Tavis was talking about that. She was talking about how she got involved, how she made sure that her children, her boys were, I think it was, yeah, her boys, her oldest boy needed to learn that math. That's a problem for me and my 22-year-old. However, so I kind of felt some type of way when you said that, Tavis, but that is contagious. And I'm going to tell you this, I was a teen mom, okay? So my oldest son, my 30-year-old, I was right at about 17 when I had him. And I'm preparing for this baby, and everybody likes to have showers. My grandmother, she said, "Oh, no, you will not be having a shower, ma'am. No, no, no. This is not the way this goes," my grandmother told me. "We'll get you what you need. We will not have that celebration," she said. "You'll have what you need. We will not be having a shower," she said. So life went on. I listened to her, and we continued. I went on to college. My parents took care of my child, but when I got to my junior year, I had my own apartment. I was working. I was preparing to finish college. I went and got that one, mine, brought him to me. I had to figure out how to put him in daycare closest to my assignment at school, my student teaching assignment. But I had to make a plan for his life. Why did I do that? What? How did I know to do that? Where did that come from? You understand what I'm saying to you? And then on the weekends, I had to figure out where was it that he was going to go when I went to work, third shift. not to buy the latest shoes, not to buy a new device, because new devices didn't exist back then. There was a VCR. Sorry, that makes me chuckle. But not for that, but just so we could pay the bills. And so I could finish school so that we could prepare to move on to our next step in life. Why did I know how to do that? Where did that come from? I have a mother and a grandmother. I had a stepfather who were giving me all sorts of instructions and encouragement, and other people who influenced me. Even later on, my children had consistent bedtimes. I tell you, I remember my mom telling us to go to bed, but I also remember staying up late. What was it that made me realize that I had to be intentional about this parenting thing? I know it. I want you to know it. I encourage you to make sure that whatever you are doing, that will rub off on your children. I believe I heard Tavis say something about eating. Eating healthily is important. Your children are going to get their eating habits from you. They're going to get their the manner in which they create activities for their families. They're going to get that from you. Allowing quiet time in their lives. They're going to learn that from you. That's where they should learn it from. That's where they should get that information. Now, I know that several of my decisions were based off of my foundation from my mother and my grandmother. So I ask you, what are you, the parent, committed to? Is it what you're doing? Is what you're doing now preparing your children for a positive outcome? What you're doing right now, mom, dad, grandma, auntie, cousin, whoever is responsible for the children, is what you're doing right now preparing your children for a positive and successful outcome. I say to you now, as I close, be careful, because your commitment could also cause a problem. Whether it's you being committed to the shoes, the devices, the anything else, keeping up with everyone else, or like Kenya. Kenya was so committed to not being like her mother that she was doing things to prevent that outcome for her son, and didn't realize. She came and talked to me, and we were talking, and I'm helping her put structures and strategies in place for she and her son. And we began to realize, the more we spoke, that she was doing and not doing certain things because she did not want the same outcome for her son as was the outcome for herself and her oldest daughter, because of her relationship with her mother. We had to restructure some things and put some things in place so that her commitments were only to her life at this time, and not only in spite of the relationship or the experiences that she had. So I encourage you, and I ask you, I say first, to make a commitment. And I ask you, what are you committed to? I am Tikisha Michelle of Education Inside Out, and I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Wow. I'm so full. I am so full. Thank you so much, Tavis and Tikisha Michelle. This has been incredible information. Um, Thanks for joining us, Tavis. Sorry about that. I'm learning how to use my tools that I have in front of me. So sorry. Here you are. Thank you both for this time together. I have gained 2 new mom friends, as I am behind you with my son who's 13 and my daughter who is 8. So I might have to give you a call as we go through this thing, and as I will need to implement growth mindset in how I parent. which for me, this was an important topic because when I realized that there was family trauma that I went through that would have impacted the way that I dealt with certain situations, I realized that I have to learn how to parent from a growth mindset point of view and not a fixed mindset, because a lot of times when you go through certain things in your family and in life, you take that with you and it becomes a part of almost like your routine. You don't think about it sometimes. So thank you for helping us think twice about how to be even better parents. So I want to open this up to some Q&A with you two, and you jump in whenever you're ready. Can you tell us more, first of all, about your organization, what you have going on, just a little bit more about you?
I'll go first. So Mothers of Brown Boys, I founded that because, I have the two sons. And this is my spiel that I give to my wealthiest of the wealthiest Republican friends, and when I go into the jails to minister. When I think of us African Americans, we are the lightest of the lightest and the darkest of the darkest. And if you put us together, you get us this beautiful shade of brown. And what I also noticed is with my friends, I'm a single mother of two boys, but I have friends who married very well, African American sisters who married very well. The husband got up with the baby in the middle of the night. That's not my story. That's theirs. Very educated, some not educated, but there are some things that as moms we go through. When our sons leave the house, there are different moments. I don't know about you, but on holidays, it's like, make sure you wear your seatbelt. Make sure you don't drink and drive. There are certain things that we say. And it's an unspoken language because the more educated we are, we don't discuss those things. And I also realize that with children, period, teens, period, who wants to talk about that their son came in the house smelling like he's been battered with weed flower, marijuana flower. We don't. And so I'm bold enough to talk about those things because if we don't tackle those things and talk about the real issues, our sons are getting pulled over. I'm just my friends call me the transparent mom. I'm bold enough to talk about it, but we focus on four things. Mindset, you've got to shift your mindset. That's growth and fixed mindsets. Motherhood, we've got to talk about it. You've got single moms, you've got married moms. We all have certain sets of issues, but it has to be discussed. We talk about money, multiple streams of incomes. I tell people, I said, you look at moms, don't feel sorry for moms because we're doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs, or we may have to go to the jail to minister. Either way it goes, it's not some, oh, poor moms. Don't pour us. Just respect our children and respect us with the same respect that we give you. And so that's why I founded it. I've been doing it 22 years, but publicly praying. We started with Turnover Tuesday, praying every Tuesday for brown boys for about 5 years. This is how we do it. You don't give up on him. You don't quit. I don't care if he's in the wrong. The cops pull him over. He's a football player. Whatever it is, we are a sisterhood that needs to stand together irregardless of what happened. In mobs, you don't get to throw your boys away. I don't care what they've done. You hand them over in the spirit realm to another sister who can pray for him as he has upset you or as he's doing something great. And so that is what mob all about. We have the 1000 Mob Club. You can join that where every month we have speakers, we have giveaways, and it's just a as my dad, I'm a daddy's girl, as he says, Tavis, somebody's got to take up for them publicly. And I believe God gave you the mandate to be able to do it. And so hence Mothers of Brown Boys. We've written books. We have journals. I'll show this one because I'm proud of this one. My son is actually in the middle, but it is the journal for, how you do the Daniel's fast every year, 21 days. Well, this is for your sons. It's 21 days of scripture, declarations, and guided prayer. We leave cars, we leave boats, we leave houses, we leave old wigs, we leave everything to our children. But do we leave a legacy of prayer? Do we leave a legacy of prayer? And so this is to leave a legacy of prayer for your son. What I love about it on the inside is there's a space where you can put his pictures. And I did this for my both of my sons, but you put their pictures here. And when they get older, you keep it. When they get older, you gift it to them because they'll be reminded of, oh my gosh, my mama prayed for me this day. And this is what she wrote to me for 21 days. So I said, hey, we do the Daniel's fast anyway. We may as well pray for our boys and keep them covered, because in my own opinion, Satan is playing for keeps for our children. So I have a couple other things that I've written that's on my website, but you can hear my passion. You can hear my preach. It always comes out in whatever I do, but I am super passionate about it because I am raising two brown boys, 22 and 11, two different parenting time frames in a Trump society. That's it.
Woo! You just increased our hearts and our likes on that one now. Thank you so much.
So yeah.
So Tikisha Michelle, tell us more about you and your organization, what you have going on.
Thank you, thank you. I can't even tell you. I am just thrilled to be on this platform with you ladies. You all are so jamming. I love it. I love it. So, Education Inside Out was actually 11 years ago, and we started off doing just as an online platform for all the stakeholders in education to share their thoughts, their feelings, and their emotions. That was when I first learned what Facebook was. So technology was definitely not my friend. So we did live streams, but then we became a tutoring program, and we were able to help go into homes, the same model that we use now with going into homes to help families and communicating with both the family and the school, doing both of those things. We were able to use that same model back then, except for it was for tutoring. So I would go into the homes and establish a tutoring program for that child, designed specifically for that child, with the help of the teacher. So I would communicate with the teacher about what was going on in the classroom and what would best help this student. So that's how Education Inside Out started. And then we became a whole school. We were a small private school right there in the same town, had a few students. We got a chance to see the program help students increase by like 30% increase in what they had done before they left their school to when they joined us. So it was so great. But then when I got to North Carolina 7 years ago, I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not doing that. And then about 3 years ago, it was laid on my heart. You got to do it, because Education Inside Out actually started from when I was a new teacher. And I remember the night I sat on the floor and a parent called me to talk to me about spelling words. And I wound up having a conversation with her for about an hour. I'm 20 something years old, about 23 years old. And this mom is telling me about her whole life, about her children, about why things are the way they are. And the conversation was simply to have been about spelling words and the spelling assignment. And every time I think about Education Inside Out and where we started that long ago, that's the beginning of my teaching career. Parents need that. They need that ear. They need somebody to help them navigate the school system and understand where they are. So we help parents. We bridge the gap between home and school, helping parents understand the expectations of the school and helping the school to understand what is happening behind the door. Once children get home, parents close that door, and we don't always know what's happening when that door gets closed. So that's what I talk about a lot when I speak, when I share. We're talking about how it is we can best help parents be their very best selves, so that they can help make sure and encourage the success of their children.
Great work. Great work. One of the most requested things that I'm getting right now from parents is the need for tutors. And during the pandemic, it's been really difficult for our parents to bridge that gap. So what you're doing, and to continue to do it during the pandemic, it's greatly needed. So that is awesome. So I have a question that has come in. And the question is, what are some pitfalls we should look out for as we begin shifting to more of a growth mindset in our interactions with our children? Can you share a little bit on that?
Absolutely. Number one is being so hard on yourself. Like you're gonna want to be perfect with it because you learned something one day. I'm 48. You can't change 48 years of behavior in one night. And so I think the main thing is if you're patient with yourself, and even something as small as setting your timer that every Monday at 6 o'clock, you are going to be intentional about the growth mindset. So instead of thinking, oh, I got to do all this now and I need to do this, and no, just don't set yourself up for failure. Just every Monday, 6 o'clock, I'm going to be intentional with Johnny. Every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be intentional with growth mindset with Joe and figure out what they're good at. My youngest son is really good at math. So figure out one of the areas that you want to enhance and just go at. Be easy on yourself. Take baby steps and set reminders and be consistent, knowing that every Monday, this is what I'm going to do, and make it fun. Just make it fun. Tikisha?
Yes, being consistent. Consistency is key. Oh, you just keep saying all the great words that make me just so excited. So, consistency is key. And then, as she said, I say it this way: give yourself, a moment. Consider that this. I'm not perfect at this. When they sent you home from the hospital with that child, there was no book. I don't know. I didn't get a book. I don't know if anybody else got a guidebook when they left on the how-tos of parenting. I mean, I know there's the Dr. Spock and all of that, but outside of that, I didn't get anything. So when you go home, you have to look, I know that I'm supposed to feed and diaper this baby. Now it's older. What am I supposed to do with it? Take a moment. Give yourself a break. Understand that you may not be perfect at all the time, but work it out. Work it out. Make a plan, work the plan is what I always say. Make a plan, work the plan. And if that plan changes, because Tavis knows, as I talked to her this weekend, plans do change. But I say to you, take a breath, take a moment, and take a seat. Take a breath, take a moment, and take a seat. Just think about it. And I'm okay. And then you start again.
That's good, Tikisha, because the one thing I want parents to understand is because every child is different, you're going to have to figure it out differently with them. And so I know parents with about 5 kids. I have two with such a large age gap, and so I have different. At some point, every parent has a frustration with their child. There's always one child who they feel is the nimbus, the black sheep or whatever. You've got to watch those things. You've got to watch that okay, this person does this or is good at that. Make sure you're focusing on what you need to focus on with them, watching your language, watching what you say, being consistent and being intentional. Each child is different, and you've got to remember that.
This is great advice, and it leads me to share with you guys really why we're doing this. So we have the Intentional Parenting Online Summit because I thought it would be helpful to take our parents through the same program that I'm going to implement in February with their child. We're going through the same exact topics that we'll turn around and start working with our youth, but I wanted to do it in partnership. So some of the things that I appreciate is you all talking about the consistency, because I have a very structured mentoring program, and 9 times out of 10, most of my parents are not used to that. They're like, mentoring, we just, want our kids to spend some time with someone. It's like a handoff almost. But for the right reasons, of course. But I want to partner with parents, and I want us to do this together. So I thought it would be nice to introduce the topic so parents could pick up how to do this at home, so that their child will get everything that they need out of the program. So I really appreciate the suggestion too, to really take some time out of your day. It really doesn't take a lot, but just purposefully have these conversations that will be helpful to you and to your family and get you to the next level and leave the legacy that Tavis talked about earlier. So that is great advice. Another question that I have for Tikisha Michelle, you talked about the difference in parenting. What is your take on how parents can advocate for their child at school right now. In this particular moment in time during the pandemic, when things are extremely difficult, maybe even getting in contact with a teacher is so different, or a principal is so different. What do you suggest that parents do today?
Ooh, I love that question, because what I've heard a lot of parents do is step back. Instead of step in, they step back. This is hard. Why do they expect me to do this? I am not the teacher. That's hard for me to hear, because our names are mom, or the name dad, or grandma, whoever that person is. This is the time when we step up. When our children need us to make those phone calls. When our children need for us to sit in and say, okay, so what is it that you need? What is it that you are trying to learn? What is it that the teacher wants you to do? Get in it. Get all the way in it. Yes, you have got to work. You have to. And I understand. Like Tavis was saying a little bit ago, set time. Maybe every Wednesday or every Thursday, I am going to check all of the homework, because they're a little bit lenient. I know I'm really lenient right now. It was due on Thursday, but get it to me on Monday. Don't wait till 2 Thursdays later. Get it to me. So if on Thursday you sit down and you have that meeting with your child and you check in on that homework, and most of it is electronic right now, so you don't even have to worry about lost papers or papers that got stuffed down or wet. Most of it's electronic. So all you have to do is tap in and have that meeting with your child. They're online most of the time. Send a message. If your child is online, send a message to the teacher right there. The principal is probably sitting at their computer, because most of the meetings are Zoom meetings right now. You have the most access to the teachers, and because our meetings are all online, you can get to us so quickly now, even more quickly than you did before. Just do it. Let's just go ahead and use Michael Jordan, Nike, and all of them. I don't know if they're sponsoring today, but we're just going to just do it.
One day,
Okay?
one day.
Make the call. Make the call, send the email, send the text message, because you probably have GroupMe, you probably have Remind, Dojo, Abe, whatever contact you have, use it. Don't make excuses, make it happen. That's what I always say.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You make it sound so easy, and that's what it's supposed to be. We're here to lighten the load, ease the way, motivate you, empower you, so that when you get through the next week, you'll feel like you have the support that you need. So thank you, Tavis. I have a question for you. My question for you is, what was one of your biggest accomplishments in parenting with your children? Or you can use one example. And I'd like to know what your secret sauce was to make it happen.
Oh my goodness. So my 22-year-old was challenging as a teen, and being a single mom, and I'm gonna be transparent, his father came into his life his senior year. And that was hard for him. And when that happened, he told him a story that just wasn't true on what happened and why he wasn't in his life. And luckily, I have friends and family who was able to talk to my son, but he was he started to act real crazy. And so one night he came home, and I have two stories. He came home one night and he smelled like literally he had been battered in marijuana. And so I just dove on top of him in the middle of his sleep and just started beating him up. Like, you can't just come in my house and do that. And so I made him think I was crazy. The second thing I did was he was acting out again. And I just remember seeing this little boy on Dr. Phil jump up and hit his mama in the face. And I said, if I don't control this behavior, this is going to be me. And so he had gotten a bad grade in school, and this coach, he had said the S word in classroom. Now, I shouldn't have accepted the suspension because the coach let them say it on the court, and I didn't know it. But I took the suspension, checked him out of school, went to get him a haircut, and he went off. My son did. I mean, it was his junior year in high school. And I just kept thinking, if I don't do something, he's going to think he can control my house. And sometimes our boys can be very aggressive. They really can. I'm having this issue with a lot of our parents and their sons, being aggressive and angry. And I just slammed on brakes in the middle of the road beside the Waffle House, and I knocked him in his chest, and I said, if you ever, like, I did a demonic type voice on purpose, because if I did not, he was going to try to control my house. To this day, I didn't know he had gone to see a scary movie. The DFATs got involved. He went and told his coach. He was crying. He thought I was going to kill him. He had watched a scary movie where the tree was over the bed when the mama stabbed the child. I can't even think of the name of the movie. But I knew that if I didn't, and I'm not telling parents to do something that drastic, but I knew that if I didn't put fear in him somehow, that he would control my house. And I'm not paying bills and be controlled by a child. And so I had to, that was a pivotal moment. After that moment, did he try me? We still had some talking back, but to this day, he'll say, my mama's crazy. My mama's crazy. I did it out of fear, but I knew what would happen if I didn't somehow let him think you can't control my house. Now, I tell you, the secret sauce is a lot of love. I love my children really hard. I affirm my children really hard. I'm love. I am peace. I'm great. I come from greatness. I'm a king. They have to do that. I love them. I love them through their mistakes. The secret sauce is this: when you correct them for something, drop it. If you have talked to them about their grade in a math class, drop it. If you have punished them, drop it. You do not pile mistakes on top of each other, because if you do, you're going to talk to their amygdala and they're going to explode. When you talk to them about something, drop it. The second thing, if they confide in you, shut up. Don't tell mama them. Don't tell auntie them. If they confide in you, leave it there. If you don't, you are creating a place for them to not trust other people. Because if mama tell everybody, my girlfriend, when I get one, is going to tell everybody, my boyfriend is going to tell everybody, you are creating the future parents of your grandchildren. And so you've got to be conscious. Drop it. Don't be nagging. Once you discipline them. And number two, let them be able to trust you. Because if they can't trust you, then who can they trust? And those are my two sauces. My boys would vouch for it. When I decided to do mob and do all this public, I asked both of my boys, and they said, you would be perfect for this.
So, wow. Let me tell you, thank you for being candid and authentic and sharing the truth of the matter, because it gets real.
When you mentoring, you see it all, though.
Yeah.
So when you mentoring, I mean, there'll be a place for this, and you mentor them, because there are some moms who are secretly, and there are moms when I go public that'll say, I will never tell this to anybody, but you helped me today. I saw one of your old videos and I needed to hear that, because me and my husband are going crazy. Or you're at the grocery store and somebody walk up and say, oh my gosh, little Timmy is doing exactly what you talked about last year this time. Oh my gosh, I never thought it would hit my household. But it keeps them from going crazy, because parents really want to know that they're not the only one.
I agree so much in what you are saying, and I won't steal the spotlight right now, but you're speaking so much into my own family's life story and things that we had to go through. But I did watch my parents empower us. I happened to be a preacher's kid, so that was definitely an element in our household. I say it saved my life, that it stopped me from making certain decisions or to make the same mistake over and over again. So I really appreciate that you gave us a story that's so real. And then you turned around and talked about the strategies that you use, not only to deal with the situation in the moment, but to really grow and develop your son over the years, and for him to entrust you to share these stories, because it's going to help someone else. it says a lot about you, Tavis, as a mother. So thank you for sharing that. I must say, I posed the question, but you really gave us an answer on that one, and I think parents need to hear this. So in closing, I do want to ask if either of you have anything else that you would like to share before we close the live today.
I would just like to thank you for setting this up, Precious, and having the opportunity to share today. Parents do. I am totally connected with your mission, your focus, this intentional parenting, and I encourage parents to stay connected. If and I'm not exactly sure. I know that on Education Inside Out we have a less stress, more control. It's on Teachable. It's a class. It's a short class. You go in and you take it, and there's a calendar, kind of like what Tavis was talking about. And it's a free class. You go in and you listen and you work out the steps ultimately, and keep your diary and see what your day looks like, see what your schedule looks like, so that you can make sure that you can have less stress and more control in your home by putting those structures and strategies in place, which is what we do at Education Inside Out. And we're able to put you in connection with different resources like Tavis, like Precious. I'm so excited about Mobs and Shield. There are so many. I knew that there were other organizations out there, but there are so many, even more, that parents have access to. And I celebrate you both. Thank you so much for this opportunity again.
Yes, Precious. Thank you so much. And Tikisha, Michelle, I think we make a great tag team. I'm super excited about that. Listen, parents, the one thing I will tell you is number one, forgive yourself for all the times you thought you were wrong. You cannot even implement anything we're saying from a place of guilt. It's time for you to forgive yourself from conception until now for your children. What you said to them, what you didn't say to them, go to them, ask them to forgive you. Because if you do that, then you can parent from a healthy place. You can't parent from a place of guilt. You can't parent from a place of shame, because sometimes the guilt of not knowing can consume you so much that, oh my gosh, I should have known this about growth mindset. Hey, if you knew it, we wouldn't be here. So forgive yourself, implement the steps, be consistent, and you rock as a parent. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much for the words that you have shared today. If there's any information that was helpful to you and your family, parents, please do ask someone to join the group today. And in closing, I want to say, parents, always remember that you are your child's best advocate. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.
You've invested tons of time into your child, but you don't have to do it alone. Does your 4th through 12th grade child need an outlet to focus on how to reach their highest potential in school, in life, and beyond? Here at the Shield Mentor Program, our college and professional mentors are waiting to serve you through our Shield online community, a place for parents and youth with the same interests to connect in a fun and safe virtual environment. From helpful parenting information to social and emotional support for your child and everything in between, join us to connect with others who live near and far in a much-needed space to get the help your child needs for their future success through our mentorship and leadership programs. It's never been easier for you to connect your child with the resources they need. Join us today at www.shieldmentor.org to connect with like-minded parents looking to see their child succeed.